Today I'm going to show you how to put Windows 11 on your Mac using a tool called UTM so we can run Winlink Express, all totally free this time on Ham Radio Tube. Now before we begin, may I suggest as you're going through this video and through this installation process, go ahead and pause the video at each step, as this does take a rather long time for me on my M1 MacBook Pro. And I have AT&T fiber internet. It took me a little over an hour to do all of this, so you're going to need to be patient, get comfortable, and I'm going to speed up the parts that are long and boring, and I will stop at every step along the way to show you exactly what I'm doing. So sit back, relax, and let's get to installing Windows. The first thing we have to do is download a program called UTM. So we're going to go into a browser and we're going to go to mac.getutm.app, and right here we're going to click on download. Once that's downloaded, we can open our Finder in the downloads folder and double click on the DMG to launch the installer, and we're just going to drag the UTM program into our applications. We can close that, and we can also delete the DMG file now. Next, we need to download a copy of Windows, so we can actually do that by going to the App Store, and we're going to search for Crystal Fetch, all one word. And it's this Crystal Fetch ISO downloader. Go ahead and download that. Now we can navigate to our launch pad, and we'll open up Crystal Fetch. And it should already be ready for you, but we want to make sure we're on Windows 11 for the latest build. Apple Silicon, choose your country, and make sure it's on Windows 11. This will not work for Windows 10 on Apple Silicon. Then we're going to hit the download button, accept, and we're going to wait a while. Now, once that's done downloading, it's going to ask where we want to save that ISO file. We only need it for the installation, so I'm just going to save it to my desktop. We're going to click Move, and there's that ISO file on our desktop. We can now close this program. Now we're going to navigate to our launch pad, and we're going to open up UTM. If we get this little pop-up, just go ahead and hit Open, and we're going to create a new machine. We're going to select Virtualize, and we're going to select Windows. Now here's where you can select how much RAM you want to give it and how many cores of your processor you want to give it. I'm on an M1 MacBook Pro with 16 gigs of RAM and a 512 gig hard drive. Because I'm only running one program, Winlink Express, I'm just going to leave it at all these default settings and hit Continue, but you can adjust those as you deem fit. This next window, we want to make sure Install Windows 10 or higher is checked and Install Drivers and Spice Tools is checked. Go ahead and hit the Browse, and we're going to navigate to our desktop and select that ISO file and click Open. Then we can go ahead and hit Continue. And here's where we can specify the amount of hard drive space we're going to give to the virtual machine. I'm just going to leave mine at 64 and hit Continue. And hit Continue, and hit Save. Now we're ready to start preparing Windows. We can go ahead and hit the play button here. That's going to open up this window right here, and it's going to start loading Windows. Now the very first time this happens, we're going to see the press any key, so press the any key. That's the only time throughout this process you're going to press any key. That prompt will come up again. Do not press the any key other than the initial time. Now we're going to wait for Windows to start installing. Here we're going to select our language. In this case, I'm in the United States, so I'm going to have United States for both, and hit Next. Keyboard input, US, hit Next. And they're going to get some things ready. Now here, in this case, it's asking for a product key. I do not have a product key, and I don't intend having a product key, so I'm going to hit I don't have a product key. But if you do have a Windows 11 product key, now would be the time to enter it. So I'm going to hit I don't have a product key. Now we're going to select the image we want to install. I'm going to install Windows 11 Pro and hit Next. We're going to go ahead and accept the license terms. And here it's just asking what disk we're going to allocate, and we're just going to hit next. It should already be selected. And it's going to start installing Windows. And get comfortable, relax. This is going to take some time. It's going to reboot many times. We'll have a bunch of updates, and we'll have a few steps to do along the way. Okay, now we can select our country or region. In this case, I'm in the United States, so I'm going to hit yes. And it's going to ask to select our keyboard. Hit yes. We can skip the second keyboard layout. And we're going to check for more updates. Now we can go ahead and put in a name we want to use to sign into the device. In this case, I'm just going to use my call sign, and then we can hit next. And it's going to ask for a password. I don't care about a password because I already have a password to log into Mac OS, so I'm just going to leave this empty. Hit next. And you guessed it, we're going to check for some more window updates. Now, this portion of the process is going to take quite a long time, so get comfortable. It is excruciatingly slow. Okay, we have successfully installed Windows. The next thing we want to do, just go ahead and click on the background here to minimize that. Now, sometimes there will be a pop-up window here asking to install the UTM guest tools. In my instance, that has not happened. So we can go up to Virtual Machine and under Drives, install Windows guest tools. And it says they've already been mounted. So if we go to File Explorer, under this PC, we can see UTM Guest Tools. And then this UTM Guest Tools application, go ahead and double-click that. And that'll bring up this install wizard. We can go ahead and click Next. Hit I agree. And we'll wait for the UTM guest tools to be installed. Now we can go ahead and hit finish. And we're going to go ahead and shut down Windows by selecting the start menu, the power button, and shut down. Then we're going to select the main UTM window. And we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and we can remove these bottom two files by clicking the drop-down arrow and hit clear. And once again, drop-down arrow, hit clear. Then we can scroll back up and hit play again to relaunch Windows. Now we should be able to resize the window however we like. We can get full screen, embiggen it however you want. Life should be good. And the first thing I want to do in the search menu, just type mouse. And I want to change the mouse scroll wheel settings to make it more accustomed to a Mac. So under scrolling direction, I'm going to select this and do down motion scrolls up so it feels a bit more natural like we're on a Mac. Then we can go ahead and close that. Now on to installing our driver and Winlink Express. So we're going to open up the world's worst browser. Now, Microsoft wants to track all of your data, so we're going to start without your data. We're going to uncheck bring over your data from your other browser, confirm and continue. Continue without Google data. Uncheck make your Microsoft experience more useful. They just want to push ads your way. Confirm and start browsing. Now, if you want to install Google Chrome, now would be a good time to do it. I don't intend to use a browser on this Windows virtual machine, so I am going to go to Google, and I'm going to search Silicon Labs USB to UART driver. And we're looking for this CP210X from Silicon Labs. We're going to go ahead and click that. Click the downloads file, scroll down, and we're looking for this very top CP210X Universal Windows driver. Now, there's a catch to installing this because there is no installer for this. We can go ahead and minimize that, go to our File Explorer. In our Downloads folder, we can click on this, extract all. I'm going to uncheck Show Extracted Files when complete and hit Extract. You can leave this checked if you want. And then I'm going to go ahead and delete the zip file. We'll double-click this guy. And there's no installer, and this is what hung me up. So under the Universal Windows Driver Release Notes, if we double-click this, it's going to open up this text file. And under the manual installer, it says right-click on silabser.inf file. So I'm just going to highlight that and copy it. And then I'm going to go back to the Downloads folder, and right up here, I'm going to paste that. And hit Return to Search. And we're looking for this INF file. If we right-click that, right on the INF file, we see this button where it says Install. Go ahead and click that. Hit Open. And now we've successfully installed our Silicon Labs driver. So our radio will talk to Windlink Express. We can go ahead and close these. Go back to our browser, and we can go to winlink.org. Under the download page here, click that. Under user programs, that's where we're going to find Windlink Express install. We'll go ahead and download that guy. Hit the back button. And under Vara, that's where we're going to find our Vara Chat, Vara FM, Vara HF, etc. I'm only interested in Vara HF myself, so I'm going to go ahead and download that. We can minimize the browser. Go to File Explorer under Downloads. And we're going to extract Windlink Express. And then we can extract Vara HF. And then we can delete these zip files. Double-click Windlink Express install. Double-click it again. Hit More Info. Run anyway. And that's going to bring up this setup wizard. We'll go ahead and hit Next. Next. I want to create a desktop shortcut, so I'm going to check that, and then we'll go ahead and hit Next, and we'll click Install. I don't want to launch Windlink Express right now, so I'm going to uncheck that and hit Finish. Then I can hit the back button, and we'll do the exact same thing for Vara HF. Run as administrator. More info. Run anyway. Next. Accept the terms of agreement. Hit Next. Hit Next again. Close that window and create a desktop icon and hit Next. And then hit Install. And we've successfully installed Vara. Hit OK, and we can close this. I don't want to launch it, so we'll hit Finish. We can go back to our Downloads folder, and we can delete all of this stuff if you want. Now we can go ahead and open up Windlink Express. And it's going to make us read through this software agreement. If you just wait a few seconds, this I agree to terms and conditions will turn black, so we can check this box. And there we are. Begin using program. And here's where you're going to enter in your call sign, your password, any of your information, your Winlink Express registration key if you've registered, which I have, and I encourage you to do the same. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And once you've put in all of your information, go ahead and hit update. And this is just going to tell you the password has been set. Go ahead and hit OK. Now we can go to Vara HF Winlink if you want to set up your Vara and hit open session. We're going to need to allow it to do the firewall things. Now this is asking if you want to update the propagation estimates. I'm going to hit no right now because I don't want to do it right this second. I want to set up Vara HF. And we're actually going to open up this guy down here. And we're going to go to settings. We're going to go to Vara setup. And here's where you're going to enter your call sign and your registration key if you have one. So now it's time to set up your radio, and I've been playing around with this because it's a little weird for me, but you can see I have already done a test email, and I've received 3 emails, so it does work. This little icon right here is going to bring up our UART bridge, our COM port basically. And we're looking for the USB audio codecs. Now I have a couple of these audio codecs. One of these is my microphone and one of these is the radio. So you're going to kind of need to have to play around with this a little bit to figure out which one is which. And once you connect to one of these audio codecs, I haven't found a way to disconnect from it yet, but I've learned that this codec 1-4 is my radio's audio codec. So we're going to check that and we're going to allow, and this is what's going to basically get our radio talking to Windows as opposed to talking to Mac. And then we're going to click this, and I believe this one is my radio. So I'm going to, I think both of them are, but we're going to connect to the UART bridge there. I'm going to open the session for Vara HF Winlink, and we should, if I did it right, see everything. Yep, the radio already changed frequency there. Life is good. 7610, COM3, 19200 baud. But the way you're going to do that in Vara HF, you're going to go to settings and radio setup. And here's where you're going to enter the drop-down box of whatever radio you're using. In my case, it's the 7610. We're going to select USB digital, use radio internal sound card, and then choose your COM port and your baud. And then down here, serial port to use, just make sure that matches your radio. This is grayed out. You don't need to do anything with that. And then just hit update. That's basically going to relaunch Vara and make sure it has the proper connection. And then down here, this window for Vara is also going to open, but it's usually just hiding down here in the taskbar. We want to hit settings and go to sound card, and we want to make sure we see USB audio codec for device input and device output. We can go ahead and hit tune, and you'll notice I don't have any ALC even at 0 dB. My power is set to 69%. I think I need to readjust my power poles there, but we want to make sure we're adjusting this drive level so our ALC is no more than about 1/3. And we can hit stop. We can close this. And once we've found a free channel by going to the channel selection, and here's where you can also update it via internet so it gets all the latest propagation details. The first time you open this, it will update by default, so you shouldn't have to do anything there. And we can click on here, and we can see as we're clicking on these, the frequency is changing. So I'm going to go back to the frequency that I was on, this November 5 Tango Whiskey at the 2750 bandwidth. Double click that, and that's going to input all of this information in here. I can hit start, and that's going to start sending a query to this RMS gateway, and hopefully we can connect to it. And I've already received these 3 emails, so I'm not going to receive anything else. But it's working. We're connecting to it, as you can see. And I don't have any messages because I just got these, but it's working. Now, one thing about this Bluetooth or USB devices tab, if I connect to one of these USB audio codecs, I haven't found a way to disconnect from them. So you're going to have to basically close everything, hit the start button, shut down the Windows program completely, and completely shut down this, reopen it, and that is how those will repopulate. So it's not perfect, but it is free. And now that we're done, if you want to go ahead and delete the crystal fetch, you won't need that anymore. So you can go ahead and grab that and drag it into your trash. Might need to put in your password. And we can also delete this ISO file, move that to the trash, and empty our trash. And your computer is clean of all that stuff, and you still have UTM able to run. So far, I've tested this on my MacBook Air with my Yaesu FTX 1F and my ICOM 705. With the FTX 1F, you have to use the 991A settings, but it works just fine. And now on this M1 MacBook Pro, we have also tested it with the ICOM 7610. I used to use VMware Fusion Pro, but it had some issues of its own. I could never get it into full screen, and it was kind of weird that way. But I've also used it with the Yaesu FT891 and the Yaesu FT818, so shouldn't have any problems with any of your radios. Hopefully this helps you get Winlink Express on your Mac. My name is Mike, K8MRD. Thanks so much for watching Ham Radio Tube. We'll see you next time. 73.